Let's dive into the world of catfishing with this comprehensive guide packed with essential catfishing tips, the top catfish rigs, and the best catfish baits so you can catch more catfish starting right now. So whether you're casting from the bank or out on a boat, this ultimate catfishing guide is going to equip you with all the knowledge you need to catch more catfish right now. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fishing tutorials and tips that we post every day. So first, let's cover some essential catfishing tips that'll set you up for the most success. And first is to understand catfish's behavior. Catfish are bottom dwellers. They're opportunistic scavenger feeders, and they're most often active feeding during dawn, dusk, and low light conditions. And that's because they rely heavily on their sense of smell. That's why they have whiskers and barbels, and their bodies are covered with thousands of taste buds. So that makes bait selection absolutely crucial. And just like with real estate, location is key. You always want to focus on areas with submerged underwater structure like logs, fallen trees, deep holes, ledges, and river bends where catfish are almost always likely to be hiding out to stay cooler and to ambush prey. And catfishing takes a little bit of patience. Once you've casted out your meaty baits onto the bottom, give it a little bit of time because sometimes catfish take a while to find the food, play with it a little bit, and then commit to making the strike. Okay, as we mentioned, choosing the right bait to catch catfish is crucial. Here are some of the best picks that work every time. First is live bait. Live bait, bluegill and shad and skipjack, if it's legal to use live bait where you live, are always going to catch every species of catfish. Other options like live minnows, live worms, mussels, shrimp, and crawfish are also highly effective because they appeal to the catfish's natural diet, which is what they see and eat on a daily basis. And similarly, using cut bait, which is just fresh cut pieces of the same fish, bluegill, shad, and herring, will release strong scents once the insides get into the water and create a scent trail that will attract catfish from a distance, up to about 100 yards away. So if you're targeting flathead catfish or channels, live bait, bluegill, or shad are absolutely the way to go. And if you're going after blue catfish, usually a big chunk of cut bait is the way to catch them best. And next is probably our favorite bait used by catfishermen for decades now, and that is chicken liver. Also, beef liver and turkey liver work, but we use chicken liver because it's a lot easier to find, and the real hack is you just put it in a piece of pantyhose. That keeps it together really well and allows you to cast it out far into the deepest holes in submerged structure. The blood and protein content and texture of chicken liver is simply irresistible to channels and bullheads too. And if you're fishing ponds or small inland lakes, commercially prepared stink baits and dough baits are convenient to get, and they're designed with a potent and pungent odor that will lure in catfish very effectively, primarily channels. And on the topic of ponds and smaller lakes, our true favorite is cheese-filled hot dogs. We use them frozen so they stay on the hook better and allow you to cast it out far, but the combination of fat, protein, salt, and cheese is simply irresistible to channels and bullheads, and it's actually the one bait we've caught more channels on than any of the aforementioned. Okay, now let's explore some of the most effective and highly used rigs for catfishing. The first is the slip sinker rig. Some people also call it the fish finder rig. It's a very versatile and easy rig that's going to allow the catfish to take the bait without feeling the weight of the sinker, which of course is going to increase your hookup chances. And it's ideal for still or slower moving water. And all you need is an egg sinker, a barrel swivel, a bright colored bead to protect the knot, and then your sharp octopus circle hook at the end. And next is the Santee Cooper rig, which is the same thing as a slip sinker rig. This is a really popular choice for targeting larger catfish, and all it does is incorporate a peg float that lifts the bait just off the bottom, maybe 6 to 12 inches or so, which is going to make it more visible and enticing to the catfish, and it's better used when you've got really thick or dense vegetation or stick-ups on the bottom. And lastly is a three-way rig, which is perfect for fishing in strong current. This rig will keep your bait off the bottom as well, which is going to help reduce snags, and it'll present the bait at the most optimal level for the catfish. Lots of folks who are out fishing, drift fishing in a bigger lake, the three-way rig is the way to go. Okay, now that we've covered all the essentials, the best tips, rigs, and the best baits, it's now time to put it all together so that we have a very successful day of catfishing. So here's just a quick recap of all the processes of what we talked about so far. First, you want to choose the right spot. You want to pick a location that's got good underwater structure, submerged logs, deep holes, river bends, sunken trees, and rock piles. And you want to set up and use the right rig. You can use the slip sinker rig because it's the most versatile of them all. You can use a three-way rig if you're fishing in heavy current or you're out in a deep water lake fishing, or the Santee Cooper rig for bigger fish and if you've got tangled bottoms so the baits rest just off the bottom floor. And of course, the best baits. You always want to start with live bait. Live bait, bluegill, shad, worms, minnows, shrimp, etc., or cut bait of the same types of fish, or prepared stink baits based on the type of catfish that you're targeting. And no matter who or what you're fishing for, you have to be patient when you're catfishing. Once your line gets in the water, you've got it down on the bottom and around submerged structure, give the catfish a little bit of time to find your baits. Remember, catfishing is a game of patience yet precision, so you have to just be willing to wait a little bit. And after a half an hour, if you haven't got a bite and you're using really strong smelling baits, then just get up and change locations and find a new spot. Okay, folks, hopefully you're still with us and you've gotten some tips out of this ultimate guide to catching more catfish. Let's just kind of recap a little bit more with some summary items. Catfish thrive in slower moving rivers, reservoirs, lakes, and ponds, and especially in warmer water between 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why the biggest cats are typically taken during the summertime. And you always want to be looking for areas with muddy, sandy bottoms. We've talked about submerged logs, rocks, trees, deep holes, and ledges. During the day, especially in summer, catfish tend to hang out in deeper, cooler water or in shaded areas like under overhanging trees, bridges, and dams. And then at nighttime, towards dusk, they move into shallower water to feed more aggressively. Catfish love to feed in lower light conditions. And to recap what we talked about earlier, once you've found a good spot and location, you have to gear up properly. So for most catfish, you want to be using a heavy, longer, stronger 7 to 9 foot rod, which is going to help you cast out farther into the deepest holes and absorb the fight you're going to get with a bigger catfish. And you want to pair the rod with a good high-capacity spinning reel with at least 30-pound braided line for most catfish, and we go with a 50-pound for flatheads and blues. And in terms of the octopus circle hook you want to be using for catfish, because that turns in the catfish's mouth when you set the hook as opposed to gut hooking them, we go with a 4/0 to 5/0 hook for channels, and we go to a bigger 7/0 to 8/0 when you're targeting flatheads and blues.
Catfish rely heavily on smell, so you need to find something with a very strong scent. As we mentioned earlier, live bait like shad, bluegill, or night crawlers, as well as cut bait like little pieces of cut fish. For channel catfish, stink bait or chicken liver works wonders for them. If you're using store-bought baits, make sure they're labeled specifically for catfish. Now let's talk technique. Cast your baited line into the target area and you want to let it sink to the bottom. You want to reel in any slack so you can feel a bite right away. Then you wait. Catfish can be cautious, so patience is very key. Watch your rod tip carefully as well. A subtle pull might mean a catfish is nibbling, while a strong tug usually means that he's hooked. Once you feel that strong pull, you want to resist the urge to jerk the rod. Instead, you reel in steadily while keeping the rod tip high. If you're using a circle hook, the fish will usually hook itself. So fighting the fish very patiently. Catfish are strong and they will dive into cover, so avoid forcing it and let your rod absorb the fight.
Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Please like this video, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to enable your bell notifications so you never miss another great video coming your way.